This is Ed White, All-Pro Offensive Lineman in the NFL, and you're listening to The Grueling Truth.
Welcome, everybody, to Week 7 of the NFL's Grueling Truth Weekly Pick'em Show. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. I want to welcome in, of course, we always do this, Biggest Loser. We've only got one this week here. Mark Cooper is, I don't know, he's on the ocean somewhere fishing and drinking some beer or something, I think. So the Biggest Loser this week will be all by himself. It's Aaron Zepnick, who was 9-6. How you doing, Aaron?
Took some lumps this week, obviously. The Packers getting their lunch from Dallas. Dallas is a good team. But we got the Bears on Thursday night. We'll bounce back.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you play the Bears, it should be a win or you're just a joke. Except for the Lions, but the Lions are just good at home. All right, next we've got everybody that we will introduce next was in first place. So we're all the biggest winners. First up at 11-4, Brian Schmidt.
That's the only thing about this football weekend that I can take away and feel good about. The end.
Big Ben got hurt. Everything will be all right. Happens every year anyway. And luckily this year the Bengals and Ravens are both having a rough time, so it shouldn't hurt you too bad.
Yeah.
But the only problem is now you played New England, you lost to Miami, and if the Bengals somehow beat the Browns, then you've only got a one-game lead again.
Yeah, well,
and you could
everybody tomorrow night listen to the Steeler Weekly podcast. I will be giving my 3 points to victory. I have game plan New England Patriots. If the Steeler coaching staff would simply listen to me, we have a chance to pull out a W this week. So,
well, have you tried to get a hold of Coach Tomlin?
I did leave a message with the secretary. So we'll see what the morning brings.
Does one of those include a letter to Roger Goodell asking for Tom Brady to be suspended one more game?
It wouldn't matter because Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty damn good too. And the thing is this: the thing that makes the Patriots great is you never hear a Patriot whine about somebody not being there. They just go beat your ass anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
All righty. Of course, our other winner, Matt Andruscavage, who was 11-4. How you doing, Matt?
I am good, and much like Brian, that was one of the only good things about this past week. So I'll take it.
Well, your 49ers did score, was it 1 or 2 touchdowns this week?
It was just 1. They were in the game for a while, but then...
That's 1 more than they normally get, though.
Yeah. Buffalo just pulled ahead.
Well, and of course, I was in first again. That's 3 out of the last 4 weeks. At 11-4 with you and with Brian and Matt. But, of course, since I host the show, I win all tiebreakers, so I came in first. All right, guys, what was your big takeaway from this week? Last week I went with Brian last. Everybody took his stuff, so, Brian, you're up first.
Biggest takeaway from this week, Dallas Cowboys, Tony Romo's coming back and being here in Texas. If they want to see that stadium burned to the ground, they probably will not want to start Tony Romo this week. That's a way different Dallas team with Prescott than they would be with Romo, and the fans down here are pretty vehement about the fact they don't want to see Romo. So I think just seeing Dallas go into Green Bay, which I wasn't surprised they won, but just looking the way they looked, that's a pretty impressive team right now.
All right, Aaron?
The biggest takeaway for me is that Dallas's run game is better than I even anticipated. I think the cream of the crop is starting to rise in the NFC. You see the Seahawks look like they're going to be a contender with Arizona will still give them a run, I think, for the division. But Minnesota, obviously, probably the best team in the NFL right now. Them or the Patriots. And, the bottom feeders are starting to separate. I think we talked about this last week or the week before, that you're going to start seeing the pretenders become pretenders and the contenders become contenders. So I'm anxious to see how teams bounce back, like Pittsburgh without Big Ben. And Packers with struggling against Dallas.
All right, Matt.
Obviously the Dallas Cowboys was a really that was a big game. I mean, they showed, it was national TV. They had the spotlight on them, and they did not disappoint. They showed that they're one of the top dogs in the NFC. The other thing is, I think Arizona is playing a lot better. I think David Johnson. If there's going to be a running back that's going to be MVP of the league, it could be David Johnson. He's that good, and Arizona looks like they're on track to keep a winning streak alive.
But if you look at who they beat, Matt, can you really say they're on track?
Well, they just look good to me right now. I mean, obviously you're right; they'll have to be tested further, but they look like they're in rhythm. We'll see how they do this week against Seattle. I mean, if they beat Seattle, I'd say I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah. All right. My big takeaway from this week was how stupid fans are. I mean, in Buffalo, they've got T-shirts with Colin Kaepernick in crosshairs. I mean, how stupid can you get? And the other thing is, at least the 49ers have an NFL quarterback now, and I don't know why they dealt with Blaine Gabbert till now.
Yeah, I think they wanted. Well, Kaepernick was healing. He had 3 surgeries. I think they really wanted to make sure.
Kaepernick with no legs is better than Blaine Gabbert.
Well, right now you're probably right, but I think they did want to give him a chance to heal before they gave him a shot. They wanted to see exactly what they had in Gabbert, and I think they know for sure he's backup. He's no better than a backup quarterback. And
Blaine Gabbert is Landry Jones with a lot of money.
Thank you. He ain't making much at all.
Yeah, but he did because he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, I mean we're not paying him.
Yeah. All right, we'll go first game of the week. We'll let Aaron go first since he's a Packers fan. Chicago at Green Bay.
Green Bay. I can't see Aaron Rodgers having another bad game on national TV. At home, division rival, must win. Pretty early in the season for a must win, but I think if there is a must win this early, this is it. You lose another one at home, you're really going to be in for a rough season. I like the trade today for Niall Davis. Reports that Lacey's out for multiple weeks. I think Ted finally made a splash, which tells you they are concerned. There's a concern at the running back spot.
Yeah, but is Niall Davis really making a splash?
What's that?
Is Niles Davis really making a splash?
Well, Kansas City had a surplus of running backs. Spencer Ware and Sarkandrick West backing up Jamal Charles or splitting time with Jamal Charles. They could afford it. And Niall Davis had a pretty good season when Jamal Charles tore his ACL when he was a full-time back. I think it's a good move.
All right, Matt.
I think the Packers will win, but there is a real chance that this game could be a lot closer than what people might think. I think Brian Hoyer's playing at a pretty good level, 3 straight 300-yard games.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Hoyer over his last 15 games has outplayed Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, his numbers are just better. I think the Bears receivers are playing well. Jordan Howard's a good running back. It just all depends on, and I don't know that there's any reason to think that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't play bad necessarily. I mean, I'm not saying that he will, but we said this all last year. This is the week that Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back, and he hardly ever did last year. He played poorly on Thanksgiving against the Bears. There's no reason to think that he's just going to flip the switch. Everyone thinks that there's just no he's just going to flip the switch. It's all going to happen. He's going to start. Jordy's going to get open. A friend of mine met with he knows a scout. A scout has been this was on the radio this morning. Scout has been going over tape from 2011 and this year 2015. His mechanics are completely different, and that's why balls are sailing. He's not stepping into throws the way he did in 2011. He's trying to loft these balls over defenders' heads, and that's why these balls are sailing. And his mechanics are drastically different. He just does not look right out there. I'm not saying the Bears are going to go in and win the game, but I think this could be a close game. I think the Bears are going to give them could very well give them a scare, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that they win the game. So I'll take the Packers in a closer game.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers, but I agree with everything that's been said and everything that's been said on Aaron Rodgers. There's definitely some mechanical flaws. I think there's some. There's definitely he's not right, and there's again, and Aaron was right. How many times have last year and even this year, you hear people talking about this is the week he flips the switch, and if it does happen, it's a 1 week thing, and then the next week everybody thinks, oh, he's back, and he falls back to the pack. I think that they will win this week, but something's not right, and it's going if it doesn't change and stay consistent, it's going to affect Green Bay the rest of this year.
And I don't think Miles Davis is going to run at all.
No, I think this. Green Bay is not a very talented team right now. They don't have a lot of depth. The thing that drives me nuts as Packer fans is, we got a lot of injuries. There's nobody that's a major player there that's injured. And every Packer fan will talk about 2010 where they had 15 guys on the IR and they won the Super Bowl. The fact is, in the Super Bowl or in the NFL, you get even 5 or 6 weeks into the season, you're going to be missing guys. It's just the way it is. It's a violent game. I think their offensive line is below average. I think their defensive backfield is below average, even when the starters are there. I mean, this is a team that last year barely squeaked into the playoffs, basically off a Hail Mary against Detroit. Correct, Matt?
Yeah, I think if they lose that game in Detroit, I think they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, the division. I mean, Detroit's going to be hard to beat at home. Chicago. I mean, if it's not 1985, it's not going to be a good year. So I'm going to go with Green Bay by a little bit over Chicago. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Aaron Rodgers comes out and plays great this game. The problem is, can he do it 2 games in a row? And does he have the players?
And the next week's Atlanta.
Does he have the players? I mean, Aaron, is this roster good enough to make a run at a Super Bowl?
I don't think so. I don't. I'd love them. I'd love to say yes, but with Minnesota, Seattle, Arizona, and Dallas, and whoever comes out of the East, I think it may be another, one and done. As much as I'm a diehard Packer fan, reality is reality. The thing about Aaron Rodgers is this, though. We're so used to seeing him so phenomenal. He completed 70% of his passes on Sunday and threw for almost 300 yards. And that's a down performance for him.
How many points
because of the mistakes that he made.
Yeah, I mean, how many touchdowns? How many times did they get in the end zone? It doesn't matter which. I mean, Cam Newton completed, 56% of his passes last year and got his team to the Super Bowl.
Right. The thing is the costly mistakes. I mean, the pick to Barry Church, the miss to Randall Cobb in the end zone, some of the red zone mistakes that we're making, or that Aaron's making, he is off. And Sunday was the first time I noticed, just watching him, his demeanor on the field every time the camera was on him, he seemed disengaged and just like he didn't care and he wasn't there.
Well, that happens when you're getting your ass kicked, though.
Even
Peyton Manning always looked disengaged, too, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, I made a Facebook post on Sunday that, is it me or does Aaron look like Jay Cutler out there today? Because he just had that same demeanor that Jay Cutler does, like, oh well. Even from the beginning of the game on, he just did not look there.
Well, I think it's that slutty girlfriend he's got, that Olivia Munn's the problem.
A lot of people.
I'm not the only one that says that. I hear that on the radio all the time.
The NFL that have told me that too, because he's had nothing to do with either one of his brothers for over a year, and that's about the time that everything fell apart for him. And it's hard to play if you get a distraction. But all right, let's get off the Bears Packers. Go to a real team, the Cincinnati Bengals against the Cleveland Browns. I guess I'll pick this one first. I think this is going to be closer than people think because the Bengals, let's face it, they suck right now. Same thing with the Packers. They got injuries. They've got major injuries, but it doesn't matter. They have to play better than this. Their offensive line is atrocious. It wouldn't surprise me if Cleveland wins this game, but I'm going to go with Cincinnati. What do you think, Matt?
Cincinnati should win this. I don't know that it matters, but where's this game being played?
Cincinnati.
Okay. I mean, Cincinnati should win this. I think Andy Dalton's going to have a good game. But, yeah, I could see Cleveland.
Not Andy Dalton, though.
Exactly. Yeah, I could see the defense letting Cleveland get back in this. I mean, Cody Kessler had a good game last week, and they've got a running game with Crowell. Terrell Pryor is impressive. I just wonder. I don't know how good Cleveland's defense will be against AJ Green, and I think the real key for the Bengals this week is they got to really get the ground game going. Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard. The Lions got to create some lanes for them. Those are two talented backs. If they can get the running game going, I don't think Cleveland will be in the game, but there is a possibility Cleveland makes this a tight game.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Browns won. The Bengals right now, I think are that team that are just teetering on that edge right now of, maybe starting to go downhill. They could be on the other end and flip over, and all of a sudden they get hot. But they're just a team. And when I watch, this is not the same Bengal team that I've watched the last 2 or 3 years. It's just not even close. It doesn't feel different. It doesn't feel the same. Last year, I remember telling Mike a couple times, watching the Bengals sometimes, it was actually kind of fun. When they weren't playing the Steelers, it was kind of fun because they just, it's fun watching the offense, watching different. The offensive line was good. Defensively, they flew around. It just doesn't feel right.
They've lost many guys they didn't replace properly.
Exactly. So I think they win this game, but it wouldn't at all surprise me if Cleveland won.
All right, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I don't think Cleveland's a consistent enough team, except for being consistently bad and finding a way to lose the game. I think they find another way to lose this one. Cincinnati at home.
All right, Matt. The New York Football Giants against the Los Angeles Rams.
That is.
I think this is a toss-up. It's in L.A.
Yeah. It's in L.A. I mean, I would think the Giants will win this game, but yeah, I can see where this could be a toss-up. I'm going to go with the Giants in like a 24-20 game. Although that might be giving the Rams offense a lot of credit, but
their offense played really well the last couple of weeks, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Keenum hasn't been terrible. Keenum hasn't been terrible.
Keenum was awesome last week until that last interception. I think he was like 27 for 30 or something.
Right. He had a really good game. So I think Eli Manning's, I think the passing offense is improving. They got to get a running game going. I mean, they haven't had anything all year out of any of their backs. So I think the Giants will win the game, but I don't know how good of a game this will be, like as far as attractive to watch.
All right, Aaron.
I'm actually going to take the Rams at home. I think Todd Gurley will have a pretty good game. I think the Giants can be run on, and I just don't have any faith in the Giants traveling out west. I think the Rams will win at home.
All right, I'm going to go with Aaron. I mean, the only thing the Giants have going for them is some wide receivers and a quarterback. But the problem is, with no running game, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for that front four for the Rams to just pin their ears back and go after him. I'm going to go with the Rams. Brian?
I am going to go with the Rams as well. Again, more just a feeling, but I think the Rams are going to win this one. It just really can't give you an educated reason why. Just a feeling. I think they're going to win this. I just think the Giants are not a complete team, and certainly the Rams aren't. But I think this definitely one the Rams can win.
All right, next game we go with Brian. Oakland Raiders at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oakland Raiders. I'm really starting to like that team. I like what they do offensively. They really get after it. I think that this is going to be a dangerous team. It's not a Super Bowl team, but a dangerous team. I think it's a team that'll be dangerous in the playoffs. I do think Oakland is going to be in the playoffs, and not a team that, if they continue to develop the way they are, they're not a team that you're going to want to see in the playoffs.
All right. My only problem with them is they have absolutely no defense, and they were hideous against the Chiefs.
I agree, which is why they will not win a Super Bowl. But that offense is the real deal. And I think any team in the playoffs that in a one-game setting, again, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but they're not a team you're going to want to see, especially in a wild card situation like that. You're not going to want to see that.
Well, right now, Schmidt, my team's 2-4, and I'd love to see the Raiders in a wild card game against the Bengals. Just because we're 2-4, it looks pretty hopeless. All right, Aaron, Oakland at Jacksonville.
I'm taking Jacksonville. I disagree with Brian a little bit here. I think Oakland's still struggling to find their identity. Putting up 10 points against the Chiefs in a divisional game, pretty important early game. I think their offense is inconsistent. I think 1 week they're good, 1 week they're not. I also think that there's maybe some psyche stuff going on there with, losing some close games, and I think Jacksonville's an up-and-coming team. I think this is one that they steal at home.
All right, I'm going to go with Brian on this. I'm not sold on Oakland just because of the defense. But the main reason I'm not sold on Oakland is Jack Del Rio. It was in Jacksonville forever and didn't even make the playoffs as much as Marvin Lewis. I think this team will get over the hump when they get a different coach, but that's for another year or two to decide. I'm going to go with Oakland right now just because Jacksonville's not very good. I know on the Fantasy Football Show we had somebody touting Blake Bortles. Was that Oz?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I've told him repeatedly how big of a moron he is for that. But I'm going to go with Oakland. I think it's a close game. Wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville gets them. But I don't think Gus Bradley is in danger of out-coaching Jack Del Rio, even though I'm not a big Del Rio fan. Matt?
Yeah, I think Oakland is a better team than Jacksonville. Jacksonville, to me, is struggling. They did find a way to win in Chicago, but when does Chicago hardly ever wins at home. Jacksonville to me just looks very disjointed. They look very beatable. Oakland, they've got a struggling defense, but like Brian said, their offense looks good, and it is surprising that their defense isn't better with all the talent that they have on there. Maybe not everybody gels the same way, but I think Oakland gets this one done. There's no reason. There just isn't anything that Jacksonville's doing that tells me that they're going to be able to beat Oakland.
Yeah, even the games they've won, they haven't really played that well. They played well for a short period, did a bunch of stuff, got some points, and kind of went with it from there. Next game, I guess I'll go first. New Orleans at Kansas City. I'm not a big Chiefs fan, but I'm only a Saints fan when they're at home because they're not very good on the road. I don't think their defense is that great. You got Jamal Charles back. You got a running game. You got Travis Kelce at tight end. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Matt?
Yeah, Chiefs at home. You got the Chiefs who are just really good at home, and you got the Saints who are just not good away from their home. I like Kansas City's defense against the Saints. I think they can shut down the run game, I think Kansas City will be able to put up some points on this defense. The Saints' defense is just not very good. Kansas City could easily get 27 points in this game.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I agree with Mike in that it's just real hard to take New Orleans on the road. I think Kansas City will win this. Again, wouldn't surprise me if New Orleans won, but it's hard for me to go with New Orleans on the road because they're so inconsistent.
My thing with this, everybody always talks about New Orleans and how bad they are on the road. I think that is a direct correlation to the fact that they're not any good defensively. I mean, usually teams that can go on the road and win is not because of their offense, it's because they can go play defense.
Correct. Right. And that's what hurts them. But again, Kansas City is also one of those teams right now that, you just kind of wonder sometimes how really good are they going to be?
Yeah, one week they look great, and the next week they look like
next week they look terrible. So yeah, I still think in this situation, I think you gotta go with Kansas City, but again, this is a tough one because there's part of me that wants to take New Orleans because I think New Orleans is a better team, but it's hard for me to take New Orleans because on the road they're so inconsistent. So
I just don't see them getting those 85-yard touchdowns on the road.
Right.
Oh, they're going to give up even more than they do at home.
Right.
They'll get 2 and give up 3.
Definitely got to go with Kansas City.
All right, Aaron?
Yeah, I want to pick New Orleans too, just simply because I think Drew Brees is better than Alex Smith. But Kansas City at home is a pretty tough place to play, and I think that you guys hit it on the head with New Orleans being inconsistent away from home.
That's a pretty bold statement there, Aaron. That Drew Brees is better than Alex Smith, don't you think, Matt?
I don't know. You're really laying it out on the line there.
I got to make fun of Matt because he had Alex Smith as his quarterback for a while. All right, next game, Aaron, Baltimore at the New York Jets.
This is probably the most amazingly boring matchup of the week. I think this could go one of 2 ways. The Jets could rally around their coach, who's probably on the hot seat. Todd Bowles doesn't seem like he's very popular in New York right now, but quarterback troubles. Fitzpatrick got benched. Are they going to start Geno Smith? Are they going to start Fitzpatrick? I'm picking Baltimore.
All right, Brian?
Yeah, this is one of those boring matchups.
Yeah, and I like the Jets. They're a good team, but they don't play like it right now.
No, I've got to go begrudgingly. I've got to go with Baltimore to take the smart pick here. I'd love to see the Jets win, but I'm going to go with Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm going with Baltimore also. I think this will be similar to the Baltimore Giants game. Only the way Fitzpatrick's played, it probably won't. It's just in my head. Fitzpatrick's not that bad. But on the field, he has been. Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what are the Jets doing that makes anyone think that they can win this game. Their defense is struggling. Their offense is struggling. There's just not much happening in New York right now with this. So I think Baltimore can win with a 17 to 20 point performance. But they look very unimpressive and vanilla themselves. I mean, Terrell Suggs is now out. I don't know. You just look at the team. It just looks like this particular game, they're just going to win because of John Harbaugh and maybe a couple big plays from Joe Flacco.
All right. Now we'll go to a game that should be pretty exciting. San Diego at Atlanta. Matt?
Yeah, I think this could be an exciting game. I mean, the Chargers usually make these kind of games exciting, but they usually find a way to lose, unfortunately for them. Atlanta's pretty good at home. I think Atlanta wins this game. But, Phillip Rivers he's a good quarterback. He's stuck in a really tough situation, but he's got some weapons, and he usually finds ways to put up a lot of points and yards on defenses. I think Atlanta's defense is getting a little bit better, but I don't know if it's really quite there yet. But I think their offense is going to really be tough for San Diego to stop. So I'll take Atlanta at least by a touchdown.
Well, I think Atlanta's defense is a lot better than what they were. I mean, they're not a top 5 defense yet, but they're good enough with that offense to win something. Aaron, San Diego, Atlanta.
I'm picking Atlanta at home. San Diego still finds ways to lose games and against good opponents. And, yeah, they beat Denver last week. A little bit of a mini bye might take the wind out of their sails a little bit with the emotion of coming off of that big divisional win against Denver. But I just think Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Freeman, Coleman is just too much for San Diego's defense.
All right, Brian?
Yeah, I've got to take Atlanta at home. I like that Atlanta team. especially at home. And yeah, again, San Diego. If this were in San Diego, again, maybe I would look a little bit differently. But San Diego's got that long trip in the Dome. Atlanta, Atlanta's a good team on the road. Not like New Orleans, but at home, they obviously they're pretty good, and offensively it helps them. And so I got to go with Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going with Atlanta also. It's just a shame the last few years Phillip Rivers hadn't had any weapons, because I think Phillip Rivers is better than – I think a case could be made he's better than a couple guys in the Hall of Fame even.
Oh, for sure.
I got to say, and I said this for last year, I think Phillip Rivers is maybe the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't get talked about, but it's not like he's got a whole lot of weapons around. The guy doesn't.
You know who he reminds me of, Brian? I would say Kenny Anderson when he was in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I would agree.
Where he doesn't get any respect. He's not in a huge media market. But, come on. He's better than Joe Namath.
Oh, yeah. Joe Namath was the guy that came right to my mind when you said Hall of Fame. And he's a million times better than Joe Namath.
Yeah, I would take Rivers over a guy like Brett Favre even.
Dead silence on that one.
So I guess Matt agrees with me?
Overall, they're very similar players.
I don't think Rivers throws as many stupid interceptions, and Rivers has played some of his best football in the playoffs.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot to show for it, but...
Yeah, but he never really had the best team either.
Right.
But, you look at the game, he goes in Indianapolis.
It's a difficult comparison.
Yeah, you go to Indianapolis where he's injured, and, hell, that game, I think the Colts were, the number 1 seed?
Yeah, they did upset him. Got to the AFC Championship game against the Patriots. He was hobbled. I remember him being on that big knee brace.
And actually they put up a pretty good fight against that Patriots team.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's kind of one of those situations where when you take a Hall of Fame quarterback and you try to compare him against a quarterback who's put up good numbers but was just never on a great team. Kind of like Warren Moon. Some of those guys like that, they just didn't have a lot around them, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
But is Warren Moon in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
But will they let Rivers? Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback?
It's a good question. I think it's possible. I'd have to go through and look at all of his numbers, but I think he's been consistent enough for long enough to at least get...
Oh, man, now you're starting to sound like one of them political candidates on a debate. Brian, let's see if you can do better. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Fame quarterback?
He's on the fence.
I think it's a hard question.
It is a hard question. He's on the fence. I think when you look at his body of work, I think it certainly puts him into consideration. I think when we talked about the Hall of Fame many moons ago, the one thing that I had said is, there's so much with the Hall of Fame. It's just not about numbers.
Well, it's about
playoffs.
Popularity usually.
Yeah, popularity, playoffs,
and
again,
when
we talk about
Hall of Fame, in your Hall of Fame, the way that with the guys that are in the Hall of Fame, does he deserve to be in?
I think he deserves to be in, and I think there's a few guys in the Hall of Fame that do not deserve to be there.
All right, Aaron.
Am I answering your question, or am I picking a game?
No, you're answering the question. Well, people get bored if we just pick games the whole time.
I would have to say I would not vote him in yet. I want to see him finish his career. He has not even been to the Super Bowl yet, has he?
No, but Dan Marino only went to one and played like crap at it. And they put him.
Warren Moon never went to a championship.
Yeah, Warren Moon never went, and he's in there.
And I'm not saying that should be the tell-all, but...
Yeah, but I'm saying the criteria that they use with the guys that are in, do you think that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback? Because to me, my criteria for the Hall of Fame is they're the greatest that ever lived. And I think that the NFL does not follow that, as Major League Baseball doesn't either.
And I agree with you, and we've talked about that before.
From my criteria, he wouldn't be, but from their criteria, I think he is.
And like Matt said, I'd have to see his numbers and his full body of work and where he stacks up against some of the guys that are in there. I would have to look at Warren Moon's numbers compared to Phillip Rivers. That's a good comparison. I don't think
that's your homework, Matt.
I don't think it's fair to compare him to anyone that's won a Super Bowl that's in there because they have one more notch in their belt that he doesn't have.
Yeah, but Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, and so did Brad Johnson. It's not winning one that makes you great. It's winning multiple, I think.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think your legacy is solidified with 2. But, with Phillip Rivers, all you really got are consistent numbers. You don't really have an MVP. You don't have an Offensive Player of the Year. And not that I'm aware of, at least. I don't remember him winning Offensive Player of the Year. I know he didn't win MVP.
But could you imagine San Diego the last 3 or 4 years with an average quarterback?
Well, no doubt. But I just think there might have to be more to this to warrant Hall of Fame, even by the NFL's current standards. I'm really not sure how Warren Moon got in. But, he was very good. He was very good. I mean, if he hadn't lost some of his years to the CFL, the guy put up really good numbers. But that was really it. He was not very good in the playoffs. And I don't know. To me, this is a really difficult call.
All right, we'll get off it then since nobody wanted to answer the question. Minnesota at Philadelphia, Aaron. That's a good game.
Minnesota. I think that defense, Mike Zimmer, is going to confuse the rookie quarterback a little bit. I think Minnesota's got too much talent. They're deep. Their special teams are good. Defense is terrific. As much as it pains me to say, I think Minnesota's the best team in the league right now.
All right, Brian.
Yeah, I've got to go with Minnesota. I think that with that defense, they'll give the young quarterbacks the problems.
Matt.
Every reason to pick Minnesota here. I don't think Ryan Matthews or Darren Sproles is going to be able to get a lot of yards on the ground. And if they go one-dimensional, I think they just absolutely destroy Carson Wentz. Sam Bradford just has to manage the game. Doesn't have to do a lot on offense. And I think they can still put up 24 to 27 points and hold them to like 10. So Minnesota.
All right, I'm going with the Eagles. Minnesota's 5-0. They're bound to lose at some point. They're going to Philadelphia, who's lost a couple games in a row. I think Philadelphia defensively is really good, especially their defensive line. I think they can put pressure on Bradford. I think they can slow the running game down. I'm going with the Eagles in the upset. Matt, Tampa Bay at San Francisco. And, Aaron, I want to remind you that you said Baltimore against the Jets was the most uninteresting game of the week. Tampa Bay, San Francisco, Matt.
This has to be the most uninteresting game of the week. Tampa Bay.
Aaron just meant up until that point, I think.
I don't think he realized who was all playing.
Yeah, whatever game the Niners are playing is one of the most uninteresting games of the week.
It's at least going to be a possibility. Defensively, the 49ers, I don't think could stop anybody. So Tampa Bay automatically gets pretty much a 10-point head start. Doug Martin comes back. Even if he doesn't come back, Tampa Bay's got enough offense to move the ball. Carlos Hyde is probably going to miss this game. He was in a sling at practice today. If he's not there and they're one-dimensional, I don't know. I'm not sure they're going to have a lot of offense. I think Tampa Bay wins this game.
Yeah. Brian?
Yeah, I got to go with Tampa Bay. I don't think there's really any direction you can go on this.
No, and the bad thing is, with the injuries the Niners had, they're not a deep team. But if you got Colin Kaepernick, I think Kaepernick showed that he can play quarterback in the NFL. Even last week, he ran for 70 or 80. Threw the ball a little bit, which Gabbard can't do. But I'm going to go with Tampa Bay also. Aaron?
Yeah, I actually think that there could be more offense in this game than the Jets-Baltimore game. That's why I don't think it's as boring if you like offense.
Maybe not. Kaepernick's always fun to watch anyways. He'll run all over the place on him.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay's defense is improving, I think, from years past, but their offense is actually kind of exciting with Mike Evans, and like Matt said, if Doug Martin doesn't play, they still have Jacquizz Rodgers that had a good week last week, and I think Tampa Bay wins this game.
All right, next game. Everybody picked Tampa Bay, San Francisco, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, next game, Indy at Tennessee. I guess I'll pick it first. I'm going to go with the Titans. I mean, I just think the Titans are a more complete team than the Colts. I think they're better defensively than the Colts. The Colts' offensive line is not very good. Their defensive backs aren't very good. I'm going with Tennessee. Aaron?
I agree. I'll go with Tennessee. The run game is the reason. DeMarco Murray.
All right, Brian?
Yeah, I've got to go with Tennessee as well. I can't get really. I'm more excited about Tennessee just because I think this is a team that is getting better.
In another year or two, I think they're going to dominate this division if the other teams don't start getting their stuff together.
Yeah, I mean the Colts just don't excite me. They just never really excite me. So I definitely feel like this is a Tennessee team that's going to win this game, and we're going to continue to see that improvement.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, Tennessee. I think they win this division. I think those games against Houston are going to be pretty good, but this particular game, the Colts, to me, they don't look any different from last year. Last year they looked horrible. They played pretty good at home. I think they give you a lot more competition when they're at home. When they're on the road, I mean, I don't think they can stop anybody. I don't think they can run the ball. The pass protection isn't there. You watch Tennessee, they can run the ball. They got 2 good running backs and 3 legitimate targets, and Mariota can run. I think they can put points up, and I think they can stop the Colts. So I go Tennessee at home.
All right, Brian, your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, hosting the New England Patriots. A real man would pick his team.
yeah, and if Ben was playing, you'd be saying a real man would,
I would still be saying a real man would pick his team because
I think
better with Ben, but I don't like your chances either way because I don't think you got anybody can guard either one of those tight ends.
Again, listen to the Steeler Weekly show for my game plan.
All right, you quit plugging your shit and pick the game.
I've got a game plan that will win this game. But unfortunately, they won't listen to me probably, so I'm going to have to go with New England.
All right, I'm going with New England also. I think New England's still the best team in the NFL. Aaron?
Yeah, it's probably going to be unanimous here, but I don't see Tom Brady losing. I just don't see him letting that happen. He's got a vendetta against the NFL, and with their weapons at tight end, they got a bunch of receivers that can get open. Amendola, Edelman. I like their run game this week. If Jay Ajayi can run for 204 yards, I hate to see what LeGarrette Blount does.
All right. He will do it a lot slower than Jay Ajayi did, though. Matt.
True.
Yeah, with Landry Jones in there, it's pretty bad. I mean, Bill Belichick is going to be completely mess him up. I think I don't even know that New England's defense has to play really well. I think their offense is just going to be unstoppable. Every time they step on the field, I think they could score every single time they get the ball. I don't see any way Pittsburgh stops them. So, yeah, I think New England wins this and wins it by at least a couple of touchdowns.
Well, I think the key to being able to beat them is the fact their offensive line is not very good. And the Bengals actually shut them down for 2.5 quarters last week. The problem was Brady was getting beat up, and then all of a sudden they just started throwing the ball really quick to their tight ends, and it was game over. And I think that's the big problem with this team. Their weakness they can combat now because they've got 2 weapons at tight end where they can get rid of the ball quickly and beat your brains in. I'm going to go with New England. Matt, Buffalo at Miami.
Buffalo at Miami. I got to give props to Miami for the way that they played. I think everyone was surprised that they played Pittsburgh that well and finished them off. I mean, there were times where Pittsburgh was back in it, but Dolphins just didn't quit. I think that's just a blip on the radar, though. I don't think the Dolphins are anything close to that type of a team. I don't think Jay Ajayi is a franchise running back. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is a franchise quarterback. Buffalo, to me, is playing good football. 4 wins in a row, first time in like a decade since they've done that. Tyrod Taylor's good. LaShawn McCoy is real tough, and the defense is playing well. So I'm going to take Buffalo in this game, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with one thing. I think Jay Ajayi could be a franchise running back. I think he's really good. Watched him play at Boise State. So I think you might be wrong on that, but I think you're right on everything else. So I'm going to go with Buffalo also. Brian?
Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo. I think that's a pretty good football team. They're playing good football, and I like what I'm seeing. So definitely going to go with Buffalo.
All right, Aaron?
Buffalo.
All right, that was easy. Next game, Aaron, Seattle at Arizona.
This is the game of the week for me. Toss-up. It's at Arizona, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Arizona at home. I think Larry Fitzgerald's the ageless wonder, and their defense is getting it back. I know they got pummeled by Buffalo a few weeks back, but Arizona's defense has been pretty solid. I'm gonna pick running game and defense usually wins. They got a passing game. I think they'll be all right. I think they'll beat Seattle at home.
All right. I agree with you on this. Running game, defense, and passing game wins. And I think Seattle's better in 2 of the 3 phases there. Russell Wilson is infinitely better than Carson Palmer. Defensively, I think Seattle is a lot better team than Arizona. Arizona's got the running back. Not too many teams run the ball that great on Seattle, though, so I think that's kind of a wash. I'm going to go with Seattle to win this game. Matt?
Yeah, it's really hard to disagree with what you're saying there because
I'm right, Matt?
Yeah, you might be right on this because Seattle's defense is really, really tough. The more I'm looking at this, Carson Palmer, I like Carson Palmer in the regular season. I think this is a really good fleet of receivers that he's got, and he's got David Johnson. But I just feel like Seattle's going to get turnovers. One of the things that Carson Palmer's consistently done in big spots is he gets turnovers. So as much as I like Arizona, I think they're really good. I think they could be one of the top teams in this conference. I think I got to reluctantly take Seattle. I was going to just take Arizona in a close game because they're at home, but you're right. I mean, in 2 of the 3 important phases, Seattle is better, and their defense is just really, really tough. So I think you're right.
Pete Carroll's a hell of a football coach.
Yeah, as much as it pains me, I can't disagree with that. He's
pains me too. I never liked him that much in college either. But he always seems to win, so it usually means you're probably pretty good at what you do. Brian? Seattle, Arizona.
I'm going to go with Seattle. I just like what they do defensively, and they do enough things well offensively to get that 3-point win, that 4-point win. It'll be a close game, but I really feel like with Seattle, they're just that team that just finds a way to put themselves in the spot to win a game 23-20, 27-23, and those are the teams when they do that consistently year in and year out. That's coaching, that's system, and that's players that it doesn't matter if they're down 3 with 2 minutes left or down 6 to it, they believe they can win, and they're also a good team on the road. So to me, it's a pretty easy choice. I think Seattle will win this game.
All right, Washington at Detroit. This is a tough game to pick, guys. I guess I'm starting this one off. Detroit's really good at home. They're going to put points up, but Washington's played really well the last couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to pick this one first, but I guess I don't have a choice since I rotated. Since I rotated, I guess I don't have a choice. I'm going to go with Washington. I think Washington is a more complete team. I mean, and it comes back to the fact that Detroit barely got past the Rams. They did lose to the Titans at home, and I think Washington will be able to score with them. I don't know. I don't feel good about either way I pick this, but I'm going Washington. What do you think, Aaron?
I agree. I think Washington has a slightly better defense than Detroit. Detroit's linebackers are banged up. I think Matt Jones will run the ball pretty well against Detroit. Stafford's been playing as well as just about any quarterback in the league.
At
However,
home. But they are at home.
Yeah. I just think, again, run game, slightly better defense. I'm going with Washington in a field goal game.
All right, Brian.
I've been going back and forth on this one, and I'm going to go with Detroit at home. Stafford plays well at home, and I do agree. Washington, I think, is the better overall team, but I think this is a game where being in Detroit, I think Stafford will play well. I think they'll win a close one. I'm still not as well as Washington's played. I'm still not sold on Washington.
I'm not either, but I'm not sold on either one of these teams.
Yeah, I am not either, but I'm gonna go with Detroit at home because they play well at home. I'm gonna assume and hope that they play well and knock Washington off.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, this is a really difficult game to pick. I'm going to go Detroit at home. If this was in Washington, I'd probably take Washington. It's a field goal game. I think Detroit's, ever since they got Jim Bob Cooter in at offensive coordinator, they've just played a lot better. Stafford looks better. I think they do enough to be very competitive in this game. At home, they're just a little bit better ball club, but I'm not sold on either team. To me, they're almost the same. They both have a lot of weaknesses, but they also have strengths. I think Detroit wins this game. I think they go down and kick a field goal at the end.
All right, next game. I wish our boy Mark was here. Houston had Denver, which should be really interesting. Aaron?
I'm going to pick Denver at home. Houston struggled against the Colts, didn't look very good. Houston's been shut down pretty much, by Minnesota, New England, and the Colts. They're getting booed at home. Brock Osweiler's not played very well. They have a little bit of a running game, but that's all they can really do consistently. They have not found their rhythm with DeAndre Hopkins and Osweiler, and Will Fuller's been injured. Their rookie that started playing really well out the gate, and he's been hampered lately. And I just don't see Houston outscoring Denver.
All right, Brian.
Where is this game at again?
Denver.
That's what I thought. I'm going to go with Denver on this one. I'm going to.
Oh, okay, go ahead. You paused too long there. I thought you were done.
No, I'm good.
Matt?
Yeah, Denver at home in this game. Houston's biggest problem is Osweiler cannot get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins has been open so much, and he's missing him consistently. Denver is going to be out to prove that they made the right decision in letting him go. Their defense is just going to ravage him.
Yeah, but Osweiler is going to be out to prove that they made the wrong decision.
I don't think he's talented enough to shred that defense. He couldn't get Hopkins the ball against Indianapolis. So I don't see any way he gets it done in Denver. Denver wins this game. I think is Simeon the quarterback?
It doesn't matter. They both.
I don't think it matters. Yeah, I think you're right. But I think C.J. Anderson will run the ball well, and they'll do enough on offense to win. I just don't see how Houston scores in this game.
Yeah, I think this game is a complete toss-up, to tell you the truth. I think Lamar Miller is going to run for well over 100 yards in this game. I think he's a hell of a player. The question is this. Osweiler played great the last few minutes of the game in the overtime. Will that carry over, or was that just a one-time thing? I'm going to err on the side of one-time thing because I don't think Osweiler is very good. But it would not surprise me if Houston beat him because I think Denver's a little bit overrated this year. I don't think defensively they're quite as good as what they were. Offensively, they may run the ball a little bit better, but outside of the game Simeon played against the Bengals, whose defensive backs are crappy right now, I will go with Denver and hope that Houston wins so when we get Coop back here next week, I can bust these balls about losing to Phillip Rivers and Brock Osweiler back-to-back, which would make me very happy.
Back.
Yeah.
And they lost to Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but whatever. And I would like to bring up the fact that everything I said that would happen in the Dallas and Green Bay game, Aaron, happened.
Yep.
I'm not one to gloat. Matt can tell you that, too. But I just figured I'd bring it up.
Yeah, you've never gloated.
I don't. Was what I just did gloating, Brian? I stated a fact, didn't I?
You stated a fact, but, yeah, you were dangerously close to gloating there.
It was close, but I don't think I was over the line to you.
It all depends on what you mean by over the line.
Well, there's no line with me anyways. We're fine. All right. So, guys, make sure you check out thegruelingtruth.net for all of our articles. We will actually have up, when this show is on, you can go to thegruelingtruth.net and actually, or .net, and actually get our first ever NBA power rankings. I bet 1-2 will be Golden State and Cleveland in some order or the other. Matt, we got a 49er show with you and Dexter coming up this week.
Yep, we'll be this time. We will be on Niners Radio out in the Bay Area. We guest this week, so we're not going to have our own show. We'll be on that show, but that's what will be posted. So,
all right. Well, as long as it's on our network, so people can listen to it.
That's right.
All right. Brian, do you have a Pittsburgh Steelers show this week where maybe you break down the game and give us your way that Landry Jones can beat the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I've got a Steelers show that's sponsoring our show today. Yeah, me and Dwight Stone, we are.
Yeah, this is any plugs, Brian. You're gonna start giving us like $50 a show.
we are going to talk. We are going to brush over briefly this Miami debacle, and then we are going to talk about ways to beat New England. I'm hoping by this time tomorrow night that the Steeler coaches will have called me for my inputs, and we can talk about that. And probably this show will be about 20 minutes, so enjoy it because it'll be quick.
Why is that? You need to talk in depth about you guys losing to Miami.
Yeah, I'm sure that will happen.
It'll be fun. All right, Titletown Huddle. What do you got this week, Aaron?
Just talk about the debacle with Dallas and talking about the big matchup with Chicago on Thursday night, and also have a guest in the next few weeks coming on, Gary Ellis, former Packer running back. So from the
number 31.
You know that every team that has a show on his network lost this week, I think.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about on the fantasy show.
Because we got the Los Angeles Rams show that'll have Tony Hunter, former Rams tight end, and his teammate with the Rams, also teammate with the Bills and Notre Dame, former running back Greg Bell was on the show with him. That'll be posted. That should be up by the time you hear this, so make sure you go to thegruelingtruth.net to check that out. Make sure you don't miss that Pittsburgh Steelers show because we all know that it's been ingrained in you now. So. Because Brian, have you ever thought about breaking down the game and just telling the coaches how to win it? Is that where you go back like 2 years and say, "Don't draft Landry Jones, draft somebody else"?
Yeah, I pretty much do not draft Landry Jones would have been the first thing.
Because I think the only shot here is like multiple turnovers.
Well, yeah, there's got to be turnovers defensively. It's going to have to be – you're going to have to hold New England to about 10 points, and that's going to be tough.
That ain't happening.
You have a plan
as a Bengal fan, I enjoy this week.
I can tell you, I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers will hold New England to 10 points if they let them play 11 on 15.
What kind of remark is that from somebody who just got owned by the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm just saying New England's that good offensively. I don't see anybody being able to hold them to 10 points. In fact, they did get shut out by Buffalo, but
that was without Brady.
Exactly.
But that's still impressive. But then again, Gronk wasn't really playing that much either. If Gronk's playing with Garoppolo, they'd have been fine. The only way you can slow them down is if it goes to like their third or fourth string quarterback.
Yeah, and that's the only way I see New England scoring less than 10 points the rest of the year.
I could see it happening against a team like Seattle, maybe. If you can get pressure with your front four, that offensive line's not very good. It was the same problem they had last year. They ran through everybody, but for some reason when they played Denver, they had trouble. Denver had a really good pass rush. When they played Cincinnati, they had trouble. Really good pass rush. I mean, there's not too many teams that can do that to them, I don't think. And the problem is the Bengals on the back end don't have the DBs to hang with them. Maybe Denver does, but I don't think Denver can score enough points to beat them. So we might as well, as Dennis Green says, just go ahead and crown their ass.
No, but, Brian's got a plan, though. I want to hear this plan that to stop this two tight end attack, because that would be something. Plan.
Yeah. All right, Brian. We'll listen to your plan.
I appreciate it.
Does it have anything to do with maybe somebody hijacking the Patriots plane on the way down?
Well, I would have really appreciated if you hadn't given out my secret already before the show. But,
You ruined the. We heard about the podcast, the whole show, Mike.
Well, we've heard about the podcast. Okay, so now nobody has to listen. We're done.
Yep, it's
over.
Really. Nobody has to do it. Call Dwight, tell him it's over.
I jacked up.
All right, guys. Also, make sure you check out Gridiron Mo, an interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what everybody else has called. Make sure you check out Gridiron Mo. They also have a Super Bowl trivia game you can get on there and play. And if you go look, I'm the top 10 high scorers on everything right there. Plus, I beat Matt every time we play on the show. All right.
Your 6-8 record?
6-8.
Yeah, I'm 8-6 against you.
6-8.
Yeah, you're 6-8. I'm 8-6.
Nobody believes that. Brian, do you believe that?
I can prove it with the podcast.
Brian, can you believe that?
You know better.
No, because I'm Hillary Clinton. This thing. I just took a hammer to all those records.
You emptied our server.
They no longer exist. And I sent an email to Aaron explaining to him what I did. Aaron, make sure nobody sees it.
I'll WikiLeaks this thing, but then I'll get I'll have people
also, we
had
an NFL Legends show this week where we had the greatest running back, Louisiana State University history. Aaron and Matt, since you guys are in Wisconsin, that's LSU. Charles Alexander, who also helped the Bengals go to the Super Bowl 16, where we were fatally screwed over by the NFL and all the dark evil forces in the world.
Those 6
but also
turnovers.
Coming up, you can check us out November the 1st. We have an interview with former Cincinnati Bengal legend Tim Crumry, which we just sealed up earlier this week, which should be interesting also. So make sure you check us out next week with Week 8. Make sure you go to thegruelingtruth.net. Find us on Twitter, The Grueling Truth. So for Brian Schmidt, Matt Andruscavage, Aaron Zepnick, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.